either they waive it and I stay, or they don't waive it and I invest this money in O1 visa. So that's what I did. It was right before Christmas. The decision was taken, and on like January 1st, I was here in LA. January 1st, started the visa process. I got it quickly. It was hysterical, but I got it. The first show I had was at the Broad in February. I was invited by a great artist from New York. And then I had the viral video like in a month, and then we released the TED Talk as well, and I booked the first shows and booked the European show, so everything really started quickly. But at that point there was just the instrument. There was no music, there was no branding, there was no website, no Instagram, like no visuals, like nothing. So I had to like really make it super fast from scratch, work on the music and like building the whole like creative world around the instrument.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Sam Dever Podcast, episode 136. In this episode, I speak with musician, producer, sound artist, and composer, Lenka Moravkova. This was a phenomenal conversation. I can't wait for you to check it out. To watch this episode, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@thesamdeverpodcast. To listen to this podcast, be sure to follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Here's my conversation with Lenka. Well, Lenka Moravkova, welcome to the Sam Dever Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Here we are.
Here we are after all this time.
I have to say, you're one of the most unique first meetings I've had with a guest that comes on here, simply because of the amazing instrument that you play.
Thank you.
And I had no idea that existed.
Oh, yeah.
Before.
So it's not me, it's just the instrument.
Well, you're pretty cool too.
Thanks. I still take it as a compliment.
Just the experience that you provided the group. Shout out to Hidari and Gula World.
Yeah.
For exposing us to that. But yeah, you were really cool. But then when I'm like, okay, let's see because you gave me some backstory before you did the performance. Mm-hmm. And then when you did the performance with the instrument, I'm like, what did I just experience? Like, that was awesome, but I have no idea what that was. So it's called Bohemian Cristal Instrument.
Exactly. Crystal with the I. It's like a French word, because originally it's my version of a crystal Bachette instrument, which these were built by Bachette brothers in 1960s in Paris. So they have built like a lot of like experimental instruments / sound sculptures. And the most achieved instrument was called Crystal Bachette. That was actually the only one you could really play professionally. And then I got to meet their successors when I lived in Barcelona. So they introduced me to this whole Bachette world, and they invited me over to University Bellas Artes de Barcelona, where they have all those like crystal Bachettes and other sculptures by Bachette brothers, taking care of them and developing the new ones with their agreement. They died like 15 years ago, and not even that, probably 10. And then I had the idea to make the first crystal Bachette in the Czech Republic from our Czech glass, Bohemian Cristal, from the region where I grew up, which is famous for the glass industry. So, and that happened like a year later.
So that's actually a question I had, because I watched your TEDx talk. Incredible.
Thanks.
People really need to go check that out. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
I've never seen one where you're talking, but then you go play the instrument. You're talking, then you go back. It was nuts, and then you come back. It was you did a really good job. And I heard you talk about in there. The Czech Republic's known for a lot of great things, but you said it's the glass.
Yes,
in particular.
exactly.
So my question was, so that instrument, the Bohemian Cristal Instrument, you actually invented that.
I didn't invent the idea of the instrument, but I made and designed my version.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
so that instrument that you play,
Yes.
that is your
That is
creation.
my brainchild. That is my little baby beast.
So it truly is one of a kind then.
Yes, is the only one. And that's a good question because after I started, I left PhD in States for this. Maybe we'll get to that later. But
we're getting to that.
we'll get into that. Fun story too. But a couple of years, after I left and I got the O1 visa for those exceptional aliens with special abilities. So I had a viral video, which I just shot in Chino Hills, actually in this period, exactly in this period of the year when there was blooming desert. There was a super bloom that year, and we were going on a hike with friends. And I just wanted to see how my instrument sounds in the nature, really with when I put it in the ground or on the field and see how it sounds acoustically. So I brought it with me, and while waiting for my friends to show up, I shot a little video of me performing in the meadow, and that got viral. And after that, it was seen by 2 million of people worldwide, and I was getting every day so many messages of people all around the world asking me if I can build another one for them.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a tough period. I really didn't know. I wasn't sure what would be the best approach and if I wanted to go down that way or not, because I'm more of a producer, composer, maybe designer in a way, artist, but I'm definitely not a tech person who would just an instrument builder. And also ethically, I was not sure it was a correct way to do because I had an agreement with Bashet, Heritage Bashet brothers in Bashet branch in Barcelona, but I also it was not my invention, so I wasn't sure if I really want to make money on building new sculptures and all these questions in my head. I didn't do it, and it stayed the only one until now.
So would you ever have a desire ever to do that? If someone's we want 100 of these things.
Yeah, I don't think so. It depends. I'm more thinking because that's also amount of energy would put in that, and if I see that amount of energy, and if I just take this huge amount of energy, put it in working on music and releasing new albums or pushing the project to another level, making the live laser show or anything else creative, instead of just doing this for making money, it's that's kind of a lame excuse for me to use. That's not how I want to use my time, energy, and also ethically, I'm not sure. It's a gray zone to me. I have not really a decision about that. But what I want to do probably is that I might do just a second version of my instrument, and I'll use the whenever you guys want to see the instrument and you look it up on YouTube, you'll see there is yellow and blue glass rods, a main part of the instrument. And then I'm thinking about replacing those or making a whole new instrument, but those glass rods will be from uranium glass. So basically the glass will have uranium particles, radioactive particles, and whenever you put ultraviolet light around it, it's gonna glow. So that's my idea for in the next step. I might just do this uranium glass instrument which is gonna glow.
Well, that makes sense, because if you could invent what you invented, who says you can't invent more?
Yeah.
Stuff. And I totally feel you on, sure, you could make some money doing that, but like you said, all your time, your energy is going to go toward that instead of what you're doing with your own show. And so, and then also you have an agreement, you're the only one that can use this type of glass, or what's that?
No, but that's the thing. We don't have like any written agreement.
Okay.
And just me being ethical, I guess, and respecting the, the origins of the instrument. And also like always, like I'm trying to be very transparent that I'm not the original builder, inventor of those instruments, that this is my take on crystal bachet made originally by Bachet brothers. And there is no contract about it. There is no like, like I'm not like sign, but like this is just like a normal human, I think, behavior, or my own ethics, and like being respectful artist to to other artists, I guess.
Integrity.
Yeah.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So let's take it back. How, because when I met you, before I had even seen you play the instrument, I don't even know if I had seen it yet. And shout out to George. He was the one that's like, hey, you got to be my friend here. And
my best friend, my guru.
Oh, George is amazing. I've had the pleasure of experiencing many of his sound baths. They're great. But we just started. It was almost like he's like, oh, here, talk, you two.
Yeah. he does that all the time, everywhere. Like, whenever we go out together, we go out quite a lot.
Yeah.
Like, and then like he was like, you need to meet this person, and like he just like puts us like in the same way, facing each other. Like, guys, you have to talk now. It's like, oh, okay.
But as soon as me knowing him previously, it's like once we started talking, like, oh yeah, he was right. Yeah, we did need to talk. And when you were telling your story, and I'm gonna let you tell it, but you're talking about like, oh yeah, I was going for a PhD and this, and this, and I just dropped everything and I'm doing this now. And I'm like, those are the type of people I like to meet that go all in like that. So take us as far back as you want, like your background. And then what led you to this Bohemian Cristal Instrument? Like, how did this all come about?
Oh yeah, how many days we have now?
we can just do the bullet point version if you want.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. So basically, where should I start? Well, I grew up in Northern Czech Republic, which is famous for the glass industry. Now it's being branded as Crystal Valley as well. So like all the foreigners know where to go and what to see there. But I just grew up there, and everyone I knew was working one way or another in glass industry. My dad was one of the like directors of the biggest glass factory in our town, which was the biggest one in the country. My grandpa, same thing. Like he was the director of another branch. My mom worked there as a technologist. They met during studies. My dad was was supervising her master thesis, and that's how I got to be here. I guess I'm their little masterpiece. So I was just growing up there, and I didn't really care about glass, honestly, that much at all, because it was everywhere. It was just such a casual thing. You don't even notice. And then, and I was more like, I have never studied anything related to art at all. I was this like little intellectual smart kid. So I just quickly went to like smart colleges. We have those like special colleges called gymnasiums for like, like smart kids. So you leave the first part of studies very early, go there. And like, that's like a very hardcore learning. And they're basically just prepping you for university, all of us. So, so I was that type of like, like intellectual, like teenage freak reading French poetry. And like, I was really into French culture back in those days, and music always. I always loved music. So my first instrument was the guitar when I was 6 years old, but I hated it because it was very painful for my little fingers. So a year in, I was able to transfer to a piano, because I developed this like funny yawning effect. When the time I picked up the guitar, I started to yawn. I couldn't control it, but it was getting on the nerves of my mom and dad so badly that like eventually I was able to like, switch to instrument I really wanted to play.
That's it. Why do you think it made you yawn? Were you bored with it or
I really don't know. I think it was like a real physical reaction that like it was not matching, and my body was reacting that way. It was really interesting.
That is
now I think
I've
about
never
it.
heard anything like that before. That is interesting.
Yeah. And I had a similar phase now, and it's like related, unrelated, but my dad died in the fall, and like over that period of past months, I had a similar way of like not wanting to do things. Like, and that's very rare in my life, but I'm usually very enthusiastic about everything. I'm really excited about learning new things and doing things. And then this experience, same with the guitar, when I really don't want to. And it's like, even like, it's like a real boredom that it's like annoying and like comes through my body out in this way. So I was feeling that over the last months too, that I really didn't want to work out, which is not normally the case. I didn't really want to touch the instrument. I didn't want to like work on music at all. And I remember that feeling from when I was 6 years old. That was like very similar thing to it. It was interesting. Anyways.
I'm not going to derail us here, but it does have me thinking like, wow, maybe there are certain like signals and patterns that our body tries to tell us that we totally overlook.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like someone goes, oh, quit yawning, that's rude or distressed, but maybe there's a reason.
Yeah, no, and I totally believe in that. And I understand. I think that my body was telling me, you know, like what's good for me and what's not, and making it very like physically visible. So same way, like when I was in this phase now, I was not fighting it. I was like, okay, well, hopefully, you know, I'll be back to my normal me again after months. Let's just not fight it. Let's let it go. Maybe this is not the time to push myself to work on music. Maybe it's gonna be better in next months, and I'll be in good relationship with all that again, and I'm good now. But it was a little scary. I need to tell you that, like losing the nature of who you are, and like, oh, am I actually just getting old now, and now I won't be interested in anything at all ever again. You know, I would be lazy or like bored, or it was weird.
And I wanted to ask you, so where you're from, and I should have looked at a map before we started.
I'll tell you.
Czech Republic, where exactly is that?
So we have Germany, like it's the central part of Europe. We have Germany on the west side. We have Poland on the north side. We have Slovakia on east, and Austria down on the south.
Okay, and then my follow-up is, you said they called like the more smart kid schools gymnasiums?
Yeah, because of Germany then. Yeah, I think it comes from German language.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like colleges for like, you know, like smart kids or something. It still exists. It's like, it's intense though. But then they were right that then every like other like university studies would be just easy for me. And it was until I got here for PhD.
Okay. So I don't know if you want to fill in more before you come here for the PhD. So education, academia, you're deep.
I was like more in humanities studies. I loved languages. I loved French culture. I loved literature. I loved writing, and I loved singing and making music, but it was more considered as a hobby. I think also from my family, it was like, there was never a question that any of us would be like a professional artist or musician, since my dad was like PhD as well in like chemical technology of glass. Actually, my mom, she studied the master, so there was no. I think I just grew up in culture where music is a hobby. It's not a real job.
It's not viewed as a profession.
No, like, and also like if you're a smart kid, like, so you need to use your brains, and this can just be like your side fun thing to do. But like, why would you just be playing the guitar the whole life if you're so smart and you can like study all this and like be a teacher at the university? Like, so I just like grew up in that type of thinking, and I kept music as a, you know, side passion. And later when I was 15, I started to play saxophone because I was too old to continue the piano, and they were like, you need to switch to something different or go to conservatory, like being professional, which I really didn't want to or didn't even think about it. So I played saxophone for a while, started to play with like in funk bands, and later with like another like really cool band, and we won the Coca-Cola Pop Star competition in the country. And that's when I started to think that I have to start produce my own music. So I learned Fruity Loops first as a producer. Then I learned Ableton. I started to produce my own music first under like electronic, like a nickname of my electronic project called My Name is Anne, which is the one I'm just like releasing. I released the new single last Friday after maybe 10 years.
Congratulations.
I'm heading towards.
And that's what I watched, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was. Do you want to give a quick side story of that?
Yeah. So what you watched is a video. It's still not a music video to me. I want to do a cool music video in a couple months, maybe 2 months. But this is like a visualizer, which looks as a music video already. But the single is called Tease, and the album is called Radical Valentine, which is probably coming a little bit to our other topic about LA dating.
Oh, we're getting to LA dating. So if you're listening or watching right now and you want some LA dating goodness, just hang on. We're gonna get there.
Yeah. But what we did last week was like a really impromptu video shoot and photo shoot for this single, to use it as a good promotion. And the idea was that I wanted to do something very natural in the environment of West Hollywood, where I live now, because I think that it's a very specific place, and I would really wanted to capture the craziness and fun and all this like unreal things which are happening to you just between your home and going to Ralph's for groceries. So at least once I wanted to be that person.
I'm smiling because, and this is for lots of places in LA, but West Hollywood's one place when you're in West Hollywood. I mean, same when you're in Beverly Hills, but West Hollywood, it's definitely an energy, a vibe, a look, all of that.
Yeah, so usually it's me watching those crazy situations on the street. So I was like, oh, let's turn it upside down. Now it's gonna be me doing those crazy, making those crazy situations, and camera will be watching and capturing that. So I basically called a couple of friends to meet me at the bus stop in front of my house, and it just I started a afternoon party, crazy dancing. I was distributing some drinks to strangers to actually join me, because I only had 2 friends as dancers. I needed at least 10 to make it look as a party. So it was hilarious because there was even at a point there was a lady from Ralph's, a worker from Ralph's who was on a break with her apron and the tag, and she was just passing by during her 5 minutes break, and I just got her. I was like, hey, here's a drink, come dance with me for 4 minutes, and she did. So I was just stopping random people, and we were having kind of a afternoon party, and it captures the crazy energy of West Hollywood, but also it's a tribute to the relationship I had a couple of years ago, on and off thing with Stefan Pruett, the Guidance. He was a producer on The Rise, and we started this song together in that time, but when I was waiting for his vocals and synths to come in, so I just checked his Instagram, and there was a post about him deceasing that same day because his pacemaker on the heart stopped working. Yeah, that's a whole different story, but he was born with the disease of heart, so we kind of never knew when and how things will develop. So he died, and
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. That was probably the first person, close person who died in my life. That was, it was not great. And after a long time, I decided to finish that song alone, and kind of make it as a tribute to these crazy relationships of like-minded people who meet, and it's unresolved and not, and nothing is in the paper. You don't know what's gonna happen the next day, but you still feel the connection. So that's also the vibe of this video of being crazy, cheerful, happy at the moment, because you don't know when it's gonna be your time to leave.
Well, it's that in itself is an artistic experience, shooting the video how you did. Hey, we have a structure of what we're going to do, but it's not like we were planning this at this time. I mean, the lady working at Ralph's. but honestly, what you can't beat that. That's
and I love doing things this way. I love communicating with random people and have them, ask them to be involved in my creative, process, and inviting them to it, because I think it's a great experience for them as well. And it's great for me to get connected to random people and have now I have them forever in that video, and it's gonna be memory, and it was so unexpected. There was also a homeless guy, a black guy who published a book. It's on Amazon, so he has he has a T-shirt with the promotion of his book. He holds his book. It's hey, I'll be in your video, but I need to promote this book. I was it's all good, just come in. So he was there.
I love it. That's LA to a T.
Yeah, so yeah, that was amazing. It was
So
great.
this is separate from Bohemian Crystal
Exactly
Instrument.
that.
This is your persona. My name is Anne.
Yeah, and it was the
Okay.
very first music experience or my project, which
Okay.
which I started to release albums in 2007.
So yeah,
So
bringing us back. So
yeah,
you're doing this persona while you're doing academia.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I became a journalist. I started to write when I was already during my studies. I was picked by my teacher, who was the best music critic in all times in Czech Republic, and he was the head of the Rock and Pop magazine, which was the most prestigious like music magazine in our country, probably even until now. And he was just he was rebranding the whole magazine, and he was like inviting like couple newcomers, like fresh blood, to the magazine, and he picked me and my other like friend from school. So I was super young, like 21, and I already had my own pages in the best magazine only about experimental electronic music, and I was in charge. So I was doing that for over a decade. I was a music critic, and I had my own radio show on the Czech National Radio as well. I worked for like the kind of the best media in the Czech Republic, but only in this like genre. It was my thing, experimental electronic music, kind of like bringing new innovative like musicians and like genres to our like Czech readers, and like the crazies or experimental newcomers. So I always was like a big fan of that.
And during this time, you're still studying. You're still going to school.
I'm still
so to you, this is still like this is a side thing, still in a way, even though you're working and doing things in it.
Exactly, yeah. And and that was a hard. That became very problematic when I actually released the first album as My Name is Anne, because I was very well-known journalist, and now you're in the position of an artist, so you kind of like hop to the other side. And in Czech Republic, that's forbidden. Like,
Really?
you need to stick with your own thing. And yeah, it's not. I know this like America is very supportive to people doing like more things and like experimenting with it and trying this and that. And you guys don't really believe in those barriers that much, but like in Czech Republic, it's. I mean, I still think it's part of the culture that we are like more narrow in that way. So it was very. That was like a hard period of my life, because all those journalists were getting back at me through my my first debut album, which is, to me, it was a debut album. I was so unsure, like so insecure. But until now, when I listen to it, it's like, this is really good. This is so good. But like when it's your newborn baby, first one, you just don't know, and like you're like waiting for like approval of others. And so it was crazy, because like we were on like big shows on TV as well. And there was like a round table of journalists after our show where we would all sit down and they would like give us their feedback. And it was like real battles with them. I had my creative team behind me, backing me up. And it was the whole table of those journalists who I have known for years as colleagues. But now they're like, like we're like picking on me, and they're like, hey, this is not a like live show. What is that? Because like the way I was presenting myself at that time, it was kind of very innovative to them. And I think it's that they were just a little too old for it. And it was me with a computer, and I was playing saxophone as the only melodic thing was the saxophone, my production in Ableton, and I had a dancer and reflective ultraviolet clothing and paintings around us. So it was like very artsy experience.
Freaking dope, man.
That's what we thought.
do you think they were jealous? Do you think they're jealous, like deep down inside they wish they were doing what you were doing?
I don't think they were jealous, but they were like, they were not that progressive to understand that. And instead of agreeing and understand that they're a little bit out of the focus, they would just make their ego like bigger, like, hey, because I don't understand it, that means it's a nonsense. Because otherwise, and so I was just fighting back, and on my team, we were really having these type of like hardcore conversations on TV until they actually had to replace the moderator. And after this show, it was my boss from Rock and Pop magazine who actually became the moderator, the presenter of the show, as someone with the knowledge and like, who can really lead this conversation, because the one who was there before, he was just a famous singer from a band. So he had no fucking idea about like, any like progressive music or experimental thing. So it was like a moment where when they also had to like change the whole concept of the show. It's still online, actually. People can watch that.
Well, I mean, you have to send me that link because I got to see that. Well, I kind of, as you're telling me this, I'm like, man, why would people be freaking out this much? But I view it maybe two ways. Maybe there was that jealousy, but also from where you're from, do they take the music that serious? You know what I mean? Like it's like not just like this is like.
And criticism is a big thing in our country. Like music criticism is it's a real job. And we are not just like people pleasers as critics. Like we go hardcore. We like, yeah. So I was getting that, at that time, even to the point that but there also, on the other hand, there were like so many people who loved it, like creative people, like younger people, like, so I had my own crowd, but these were like more like old school thinkers were against it. And there was a moment when even one of those journalists, he was really, really going hard after me. And he made a whole list of how to become My Name is Anne in 10 points.
How to what?
How to become My Name is Anne, because like my project was called My Name is Anne. So it was like how to become My Name is Anne in 10 points. Move to Barcelona, buy the cool clothing, like it was like a whole list. So it was like, at that point, even the guy who released the album, the label owner, he called that journalist and he's like, "Hey, if I ever see you, I'm gonna slap your face because you behave like a small kid. That's what you deserve." Like, hang up on him.
I had no idea we had this big of beef in the background.
Oh yeah,
going,
I had a lot.
So now, I mean, I don't know if we're ready for this yet, but there's just you with mountains surrounding you. And this ridiculously amazing instrument called the Bohemian Cristal Instrument that when like horns almost. I just started fantasizing. Like it's like, yeah, now look at me. It's just like
look at me now. 15 years later, I'm still here. I'm still making music. Well, like guess who was right? I don't know. Most of those journalists, they're not journalists anymore.
So okay, so you go through this.
Yes.
So how
and I left the country after a while. I got to PhD. I mean, so I studied journalism. I work as a journalist, and I studied more things. I studied semiotics and electronic culture, and I got to PhD. And at that point, I wanted to live in a country where no one knows me, when I would be like an anonymous person, because I was not in Czech. And I wanted to get a better reflection of my music by people who wouldn't judge me by my personality, by knowing me, by having some history, by, knowing me as a journalist, like have a really clean perspective. So I moved to Barcelona because I didn't get the grants to fly to South America for my research. So it's like, well, at least I'll be in like Spanish speaking country. I can do a couple things, always better than like being stuck in Prague. And it's still like just 2 hours, of a flight, not expensive. And I always wanted to live in Barcelona for a while, because I was there for a moment for like 3-4 months couple of years earlier when the things in the magazine were not working well, and we didn't know if the redactor-in-chief, my boss, who we loved to death, he was about to leave. So we were like thinking that us as the core, we'll just leave with him. So I left for a month to Barcelona to basically like just have a breather, think about it. And I took classes of Spanish for a month to learn Spanish, because I already spoke really well French. It was my first language, and I studied French at the university for 4 years to become a teacher. So then I was like, I'll just learn Spanish, it's going to be fun and it's going to be beautiful to be in Barcelona. And it was amazing. I was so charmed that I really wanted. I even stayed for the summertime. I didn't want to go back, but also I had to make some money somehow. And that way, I mean, in Barcelona, what most of like non-Spanish girls would do. They would just like work in like bars, like bartending and stuff. But I have like zero experience, and I also have zero skills even until now. I'm just like not good in like bartending or catering people or cleaning or like, I mean, I can do it, but like just not good, you can tell. But I was like, you know what, let's try, because I always only worked intellectually. So it was my first experience besides like helping my dad in my teenage time in his like shop or something and packing the glass vases. So that was like, okay, let's try it, you know. So I was getting a job as a camarera, as the how you call it, as a bartender. Yeah. Almost like, so I would get a job in a day because I would just go to all those restaurants, leave my CV, which I made up. It was not real, that I have never worked like it. Was like, how will they find out? Who cares? I will learn. So I got a job always in a day, and then the next day they found out that I was really useless. So like, but they still had to keep me. That was a lot. They had to keep me for the next 2-3 days and pay me. So that's how I was like, you know, like, and then 3 days I would get another job, and like in 2 weeks or a month, I was learning. You know, I had to learn those.
So it took you about 10 places, and then you finally got.
I was a pro.
So we were. So those first couple times you did it, like what someone would like ask for, hey, I need a something on the rocks, and you'd be like, oh, sure, you know.
Yeah, well, I was not. So I was not at the bar. I was usually catering. How do you call it? Like I was walking.
Waitressing or
waitressing.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
I would walk around and like get the orders and bring it. But also like my Spanish was really bad, so I could barely understand what they were telling me.
Oh, jeez.
And then I was very slow. I was very clumsy. There was no way I could carry 2 plates, not even thinking like 3 plates. It's like, whoa, this is magic. How you guys do it? I was really impressed. But I mean, I spoke languages, so they always, you know, like they always gave me the work, and I looked okay. And I was blonde, which also works for Spanish people. So I was always getting those jobs. But then really in a month, I learned. I was like, wait, now I can understand. Now I know how to hold all those things. So they taught me. And like in a month or two, I worked in the best restaurant in Barcelona, where Paulo Coelho, the writer, would go for like dinners and stuff. And it was like a really luxury place, Grupo Tragaluz.
Did you see him?
No, I didn't.
Man, The Alchemist is one of my favorite books of all time.
Yeah, but it was his favorite place. They have like a lot of like designed restaurants all over Spain. So this was the one based in Barcelona. But honestly, like, that taught me how much of a hard work is that job, because I couldn't even do it physically. And I was amazed how the other people who were like over 40, they were like running like rabbits for like 12 hours a day, and they were okay. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't walk back home. I was leaning on the walls on my way back home. I was so tired. It was really, really exhausting, and I couldn't go out. I couldn't get to see cultural events. I couldn't get to see music, and that was my main reason to be there. So I was just getting frustrated. And at the end, the boss said that I have to leave. But when they say goodbye to you, they have to pay you way much more money. So I went traveling for like a couple of weeks, and then I got home, and that's how I started to work on the first album of Mine MSN, and I released it a couple months later. And then all that thing I was just telling you about with the criticism and all that when like that came in later.
Man, what a journey so far that you take. So okay, so that's you do all this, and I just want to say one quick note. That's great you got that experience different types of work, because it makes you realize that there's different levels of genius and intelligence. Not everything is intelligence in one area. Like we all have gifts, we all have. So it's like when you go see people that are really, like a mechanic, for example, they really know cars. That's a level of genius.
Yeah. And I really appreciate it, because like, you know, I don't really have those skills, but my dad had those skills, and he spent all his time as like repairing stuff and in the garage, and he always wanted me to be part of it, and I hated it. I really didn't like it. But now, honestly, I open the hood of a car and I unplug the battery when the lights are not working well. I just fix it. And I asked my roommate, he's a guy over 40, American guy, who's like, hey, do you know do you know how to unplug the battery? I was like, no, I've never done it. Like my dad never taught me. I was like, well, my dad neither, but I just Google it. And I think it just taught me a level of like being self-efficient in those things and not being worried to dive in and try to figure it out by myself. But going back to what you said, yes, I have a high appreciation for people who have those skills and have a patience for that, because I'm a very impatient person, and I'm like melting when someone is repairing my car. I even enjoy watching people repairing the car, and that's a joy for me. And yeah.
Yes, the mechanic. Can I come back and watch?
They always want me to stick around because as I speak Spanish, and a lot of mechanics here are Spanish speaking people, so I just love to hang out with them, honestly, and be friends. And yeah, I bring them some coffee or some drinks, and we have good time. And I also learn I better learn about the gear, or let's say the car and everything, because then I'm less worried, because I know how the things work, and if they break down, so I won't freak out, and I know probably what to do or what it could be. So it just makes me more in calm when I understand the whole system of things in general, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes you understand, and also probably makes you appreciative. Even if you're still not going to be doing it, you can appreciate the process.
Yeah.
So when people get their car bill and they're like, oh my gosh, it was this for that. It's like, well, or it's like the famous saying of the plumber who the person's having a problem and the plumber comes, fixes it in 5 minutes. And he's like, yeah, the bill's like $300. $300? It took you 5 minutes. He's like, no, it took me 10 years to be able to know what the problem was in 5 minutes. So
yeah, but I come from the culture where we would repair it by ourselves, because if you're not that's like a failure, like a human failure, not knowing how to repair most of things in your life. It's even more for a guy, it's like a very embarrassing thing if you really don't know how to repair your car, how to fix, I don't know, anything in the kitchen. So it's still this type of culture, but it comes really handy if how to work around those things. And I understand that later I understood I grew up in a very intellectual kind of, I would probably even say a little arrogant, environment, very sophisticated at school and stuff. We were all smart kids, and being intellectual and smart and quick in thinking was the most, this was the biggest value. And I think everything just, which is not that intellectual was not that good. So that was kind of the setup I grew up in, and it just took me those experiences when I actually I really got through all this, wait, this is really hard. Or when I was working for my dad during holidays when I was a teenager, so he thought I would be the smartest and quickest. I thought I would be the smartest and quickest. And then there was a girl who was not not even studying or anything, but she just got the numbers way quicker and better. And she was way better in being in charge and talking to people. I was like, wait, okay, I'm gonna go in the back and wrap the glass vases or something, because that's what I can do. But she was way better in so many things. So yeah, it took me learning that, being intellectual and smart and quick in learning, it's not everything.
So how does that lead you to building this instrument? But this is great.
You always want to come back to that. I can tell.
Well, no, it's because it's interesting, hearing your backstory, especially with your dad. So your dad actually worked with glass.
Yes.
And was a PhD in that specifically?
Glass technology, yeah.
So you're working with glass, you're learning how to build stuff and do things, and again, this is not on your mind at all.
No, not on my mind at all. Yeah. And we go back to this period of me coming back to Barcelona. So when I was there for 3 months as a camarera, I still went back to Czech. And then I never thought I would be back in Barcelona ever again, but I always wished to come back for a moment. But I had my life in Prague, and I was releasing the albums, I was working as a journalist. But then later, again, when I got to PhD in Czech, I was like, okay, now I can actually move to Barcelona if I want to. If I really want to have that experience again, this is probably the time. So I did it, and I moved there, and I just partly work on the PhD thing, partly I was working on the new album for My Name Is N. I was exploring the culture. I was going everywhere out to see music and art events and stuff. And one of those events I got to attend was a workshop of experimental sculptures. And I got to see a guy, now I know his name was Martí Ruiz, who was playing on this on metallic rods. It was a percussive sculpture hanging from the ceiling, and he would just play on this percussive sculpture. And also in that time, I was doing a lot of things around like sound art experience, like sound art writing, or like sound art, composing, and kind of multimedia things. So I was really not just a producer or composer. I was really deeply interested in sounds and like what information it brings, like on a cultural level or tech level or like any type of level. I was really interested in sounds in general. So I was like, well, this is really cool, and it's a sculpture. So we got to talk, and he actually ends up being one of these Metalvx Budget Studios people in Barcelona at the university. So that there is a Metalvx Budget studio at the University of Barcelona, and those guys were working with Budget brothers in France for a long period of time when they were still alive. They were helping them out, and then the Budget brothers gave them all the knowledge of how to build those instruments, how to take care of them. So once they won't be here anymore, so the legacy can like continue and like go on. So that's where that was the moment when I got to be introduced to the Budget sculpture. So Marty brought me to university. I was like, hey, these are all other beautiful sound sculptures made by Budget brothers. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And they are using, and I look at it, I was like, this is our Czech glass. These are our Czech glass rods. And I knew those rods from like being, where I grew up. And I remember my dad later in 90s, after revolution, he had his own shop. The family still has it. So where he was, where a lot of workers were actually making from these glasses, they were making those nice little like glass figurines or flowers and all that. So I knew the raw material of that. I was like, wait, this is that comes from where I come from. I was like, wait, so maybe how about we can maybe do another one from the Czech glass with my own design sometime in the future. He was like, yeah, that would be amazing. We have an agreement with Budget brothers that we can do it. These would be called post-Budget sculptures because it's after Budget brothers. It's not originally made by Budget brothers, but it's like using their original design and ideas, technology and all that. I was like, well, that's amazing. And the way it gets connected to the glass more is that like a year before that, or two, there was the biggest decline of the Czech glass industry in the last 100 years. And so all those glass factories were closed. They just like, they don't exist anymore. A lot of like people got unemployed. It was a really like economical crisis for the whole region. And at that time, I was still working as a journalist, and I saw those people suffering. I always go there for the weekends. I hang out there with them in the bars and stuff. I hear their stories and them being angry. And I was like, wait, why this is not more exposed in the media? Like, why am I not hearing? Why my colleagues in media are not covering this? And I got angry. I was like, hey, you guys need a voice. let's do something like besides you crying over a beer here, because that's what Czechs usually do. So it's like, no, let's like put it in the action. And so at that moment, I thought my first idea was to make like write a really good like in-depth article about the situation and going even like back to history and why we have the economic crisis now and why it happened, and kind of like uncover all the layers of that crisis, and also give them a voice to actually express themselves and like what is the future and how do we feel about it now. And but then I was like, wait, maybe as I'm also a creative person, I work with sound a lot, so maybe we can go broader, because like if this glass industry won't exist in 2 years, it will just die. The sounds won't exist anymore. The visuals won't exist anymore. So it's okay. Well, maybe it should be like a multimedia project when I still use their their perspective as a speech, like interview based thing, when I actually get to interview the people and give them the voice and get the information from them. But also I capture the beauty and the aesthetics of the sound and the visual part of glass industry, because it's beautiful. It's fire, it's melting glass, it's like, it's extremely hot, it's dirty, it's edgy, it's like, it's a lot of things. It's beautiful too, but my great friend, glass artist, he always says, he even said that in my multimedia thing, it was like, but glass is a bitch too, it's like, it's sharp, like it's tough life. And I was like, let's like capture all that. So I wrote a project, and I got some funding. Like I got some good grant from European Union to produce that. Well, kind of working with the local tradition. The topic was like how to maintain the local tradition in the global economics world. And I got to go there with a team of creative colleagues. Most of them were actually girls, not on purpose, but they were my friends, like videographer and other artists. So we got there and we went to all those places, from factories to schools, like glass schools, to talking to a historian, to talking to unemployed people. And we would capture the visuals from all those places, but also I was recording the sounds of all the like manufacturer working with the glass, all the sounds of the glass industry, and doing those in-depth interviews with the people, including my dad. And then I sat down with the material and I picked 5 of like main characters, like the kind of the narrators of the whole story. And I use their interviews, and I use the sounds I collected as the only source for the whole 25 minutes of a like sound composition. So the final piece was like 25 minutes. We called it Industrial Multimedia Symphony, where I would perform with like a crazy glass crown, and I would have some like glass trash on the table to manipulate it live. But there was this composed music I did over like 2 months of a period, and we have beautiful visuals and even like glass sculptures with glass beads moving and like giving this all like a very like shimmery vibe. So we basically, the idea was to tour with that project all over Czech Republic, to bring the theme to attention. And after each performance there was a roundtable where we would invite the historians, the other people, and we would actually talk about the topic, how to maintain the local traditions and heritage and industries in the global world. So that was actually that was the first time when I actually really started to work with the glass itself. And then I just later did a couple more projects, like multimedia installations using the glass beads, and it was all kind of still going back to the local collaboration or all those like problems, because it ended up being our greediness that we sold our technology in 90s to China and everywhere. So that's how we built our own like competitors, and the massive glass industry just died. And the future would be more like design-based specific things. And yeah, so I developed a couple more interactive installations around the topic. And then when I lived in Barcelona, I saw the glass sculptures. I was like, wait, that's a whole another level. That's a whole another story now. I can actually have a real instrument built from glass. So it was kind of coming, step by step, to like level up from like working with the sound and the like decline of the glass industry to actually having a real sculpture from our Czech glass. So to me it was very continuous, like gradual process, which ended up like kind of culminated in like having a real instrument made of our local Czech glass. That was a long story, right? I know you're exhausted.
No.
All the audience on the other side are just like fell asleep.
Well,
like, stop.
Well, one thing I want to note for this episode, we're going to we want to intertwine some of the instrument. We're going to put visuals up on the screen, and maybe even like right here at this moment, we take a musical break. So you initially took this path because it was more of a way to preserve these sounds.
That was it was my, like, me being a proactive citizen slash ethnomusicologist slash journalist, and bringing this topic to life. Yeah.
And what really I thought was fascinating too is how when you discovered people making these sounds, it was in Barcelona.
Yeah.
It wasn't, but the fact that you were able to recognize, did you have that moment of it like kind of everything, kind of like The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho, like everything leads you to something and you don't know why you're going a certain route, but then all of a sudden it all makes sense.
Yeah. But that's a very typical pattern in my life. I do have those moments really a lot. But so most of the time I'm in vague. I don't know why I'm doing what I'm doing, what's happening, what's gonna come next. And then there is someone says, oh, now it all makes sense. Yeah. So that was probably one of those but it was not that clear. It's probably more clear now since we are talking about when we built the instrument a year later. It was like no like great moment or magic or anything like it. It was just I was invited to International Glass Symposium Festival in the Czech Republic, which is a really huge international like celebration of like glass art, and they're inviting artists from the whole world to this small town in northern Czech Republic, which is famous also for the glass industry as my hometown. We are like an hour away, and so the way how this festival works, they always, every, let's say, company, glass company or a factory, they partner with one artist and they produce a new piece together. So the company or the factory covers the cost, and the artist provides the creative process, and they exhibited that as like, as a thing, as a new art piece for the International Glass Symposium. So it's really, really cool event. And they invited me with this, my performance. I just kept describing, for an hour. It was called Glass Spilled Over the Broken Bathtub. So initially they invited me to for the opening to do this performance with the sound of glass and the heritage and like criticism. But then I was like, you know what, how about we also build the glass instrument? We built the first crystal bushette. How do you like that idea? They're like, yeah, that's cool, let's do it. I was like, okay, this is the budget. We're gonna bring Marty over from Barcelona. I'm gonna design it. We'll have 2 weeks to make it work. Normally it's a couple months. It was really intense. But yeah, so he flew over and we built it in a really it was a time pressure. It was like time was ticking, but we built an instrument and it was there. It was not having any super great sound as it has now, honestly. So it was just like a weird sculpture next to me. I incorporated it somehow to this performance too, but I cannot tell that it was like a laugh on first sight. Honestly, it was just, it was not sounding great in those times. It was harder to play. I was not feeling much of connection at that very first moment. And also I couldn't keep it for over a year because we didn't have any contracts and agreement. And then they didn't want to give it to me later. So we were there was even almost a lawsuit about it. And I didn't get to see the instrument for a year. And then later, we got in an agreement, I got it back. And only later, years later, I started to work with it more. I was invited to one other concert, so I started to work with it. And probably only until I got here for PhD. Only after that, I started really focus more on the instrument and developing the idea of what can we do together. Because I got a grant when I started a PhD here at UC Riverside. I got a grant from one city in Czech Republic to bring the instrument over because the costs were really big at that moment. Now I'm flying with it as a oversized check-in luggage, but back in those days I didn't know. So my ex-boyfriend, poor guy, he built a whole crate for it, and we shipped it over. And that was probably the first time when I really started to work with the instrument and started to take it seriously and started to also communicate with me sonically way better and more stronger. It felt like partnership, which didn't feel like before.
Okay, so what I really find fascinating about this is just how gradual this all was. Like it truly was an evolution. It's not like you discover that glass in Barcelona. Oh, I'm going to build an instrument and we're going to start.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a viral video on TikTok. Yeah, light show lasers. No,
well, right. Because by the way, like I don't know what video it was on your website. It's like heaven-like. Like it's like a white background and it's I mean that is high-end stuff.
On the icy one on the top of the hill.
Is that what it was? Maybe that was it.
I think it's the song Evapora, and I'm standing with the instrument on the top of a icy hill covered by snow, and there is a futuristic TV tower behind me, like a sci-fi tower, and the clouds.
I think I know which one you're talking about. I'm just trying to think if that's the same. You have a lot of videos, a lot of good ones.
Not that many, honestly. I still don't have a professional music video, which I would love to shoot and should be for the single New Nature, which I already released in June. But my ideas are always crazy and complicated, and that's how I want.
Hey, welcome! Hey, you're in the right place, LA. You came to the right place.
Right? So I want to do like a music video in 3D environment. If you imagine like a glass cube with me and the instrument inside, and then having glass, like laboratory glass, slowly growing around me. So we would move it, make it alive with VFX, virtual effects, and then it would slowly, gradually start moving like tree branches, like lianas, like Amazonian forest, and it's gonna start inhabiting this whole like glassy space around me. And so the whole idea behind that is this is like a rite of passage from this reality to post-human, where in post-human, it's like a concept where technology, human, and nature, they're merged together as one unity. So this would be kind of the rite of passage from this reality to post-human, where the glass and the instrument and everything comes into like a new unity, and the instrument is like the demiurge, the master of this situation, of this transition.
No, well, you're in the right. There's people that can make that happen, like that exact vision you're saying.
All right, guys, reach out,
reach
please.
out right now.
I already got an award for the concept last year in Paris in ISEA, which is International Symposium of Digital Arts, and I sent them the concept of this as a video art. And they flew me over, and I had a really nice presentation on this festival just about this. I was like, it still doesn't exist, but it was already, like appreciated internationally. So I was like, all right, well, let's just keep this idea floating in the air. Hopefully,
As much as I'm still on the fence with AI incorporating with art, it does sound like for something like that, AI may play a hand in that, because it does involve effects and things like that.
And my friends now, actually, that's a good point. Like 2 weeks ago, my friends from Prague, designers, reached out to me, and because they knew about this, my idea. We were like trying things. They're like, hey, we're gonna train the AI now for this idea, and we're gonna make it. And they already sent me like a couple of visuals. They look good. And we have like we made like a uranium, even like uranium like plants and all that. It looks cool, but like it's still like I would have to put myself in it, and that's not easy. And I still like the idea of like kind of like a glass cube, environment. So I still just think it should. And there is also AI. I don't know. That's a whole another topic.
Yeah.
I showed that video at like a Screen LA, which is I recommend everyone who is like a film fan. I recommend Screen LA event, which is happening once a month. Making a little promotion for my friends, but it's a really cool event because you get anyone who comes in brings a little video in between 0 to like up to 10 minutes, so you can screen that. So you're basically at the event, you're sitting in a nice cinema, like a cute little cinema, and you're watching unexpected things for like an hour and a half. No one knows what everyone brings. And you get to you get to see so many like really cool and funny and hilarious things. So I brought this one there for a feedback, and people loved it. But also there was a good point from like quite a lot of people how AI is not very green and like, and I was like, okay, well, that's a thing I kind of need to look into that, like, because also like I want everything in my project to be aligned to my idea of like ethics and like kind of the way I build the world around the instrument. I kind of want everything to be in tune with that. So I was like, let's like put a break on this for a moment, and we'll see.
I think I told you this the first night I met you, like immediately. I'm talking within the first few seconds when you say, I want to get to like the anatomy of it too, and like how it
Mm-hmm.
actually is working. But I remember when, the first few sounds came out and like I'm looking at it, I immediately thought Hans Zimmer. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
one of the first people I thought of. And then also the movie Dune.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because Dune takes place in the far, far distant future. They live very simplistic,
Mm-hmm.
but they have a great technology, and that's what it reminded me of. Like
True.
it especially seeing some of your videos too, like when you're out in these ridiculously awesome nature settings with this instrument. It's like, am I in the future? Or is this the past? No, it's the future.
Is it photoshopped?
Is it photoshopped? but it gives like this futuristic, like highly sophisticated, intelligent, but at the same time simple vibes. Like
True.
It's hard to explain. Like it's very hard. So that's why I want to put some visuals up so people. Because so what
That's
is
really
it?
nice you understand it that way, because that's my understanding too. Because I like that it's like a kind of contradiction of a couple of things. Like you have this futuristic looking instrument, like one of a kind, but it's entirely acoustic. It's like analog. It goes back to the roots. So that's kind of like, and also goes back to like a tradition, with a really long tradition of glass in my culture. So I just like all these like contradictory combinations of things, and like that make it very even like conceptually unique, I think, for me.
Absolutely. And I have to mention, like, I remember when you were playing it, I was looking around like, well, where's the outlet? Where's the cord? Where's this plugged in at? I'm like, no, you're like you said, it's all acoustic.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we'll put visuals up too. So the what would you call it?
The glass rods.
The glass rods.
Uh-huh.
Is that's what's producing a majority of the sound? And then how is that working with the, what are they called?
Metallic shields. The elephant ears.
The elephant ears. The elephant ears. How is all that working? And like, what are we experiencing when you're doing that? Like, how is that making
Did you try it?
I didn't. There was a lot of other people trying it, so it's like, but I knew we were podcasting, so I knew you'd be talking about it. Maybe I should have.
Yeah. Well, next time on 26, you need to try it.
Maybe at your event.
Yeah, you need to. Yeah, you to try it. Remind me there.
Okay.
I still haven't tried it.
So okay, when you're working the rods and like, how is all that working to produce?
So basically, it's like pretty simple. Like there is a little glass bowl with water. So you dip your fingers in the water. They have to be wet, and then you rub the glass rod. This makes like the friction triggers that friction. You will feel it in your fingers. You'll feel the vibrations in the fingers. So when you start feeling them, you know that the sound is on, because then what you are doing, you are triggering a sound wave by this movement and the friction on the glass rod, which goes to the metallic core. And each glass rod has its own metallic one. So the glass rods are oriented vertically, and the metallic ones are horizontally. You probably didn't, I'm not sure if you saw them. They're kind of facing me. They're not facing the audience, they're facing me.
I think in one of the videos I could see that. Yeah.
So basically that sound wave travels to this glass rod, which has a metallic bar on the end. And imagine like a wave, like a sound wave traveling on, let's say this is the metallic rod. So the wave, this is the glass rod, metallic rod. It travels like this, and this would be the ending bar. And basically this is where the sound wave ends. And if I push this bar up, so we are shortening the sound wave. That means the pitch of the sound of the note goes up. Like the same system is honestly on all the acoustic instruments is the same system. Let's say on a guitar, if you want to, bring the pitch up on the note, you just like tighten up the knob. You make the length of the string shorter. That's how the pitch goes up. So it's the same system here. I can move this up, and the pitch of the glass rods is up. When I move it down, so the length of the wave is longer, so the sound, the pitch goes lower as well. And I'm talking about one note now. So I'm just saying that I can actually tune it to a different way. Every note, I can tune every note to a different, pitch a little bit if I want to. Well, I'm like trying to keep it like keep like tune the way it is naturally, which is like without flats and sharps. But I can if I want to. I did that for like movie scores, for like when I work with like some Hollywood movie composers here. And from there, from this core, the sound waves goes to those metallic shields, those elephant ears you mentioned, and this is the amplification part. So these metallic shields in this like beautiful shape of like kind of leaves, or I don't know how would you describe that. So these amplify the sound out to the audience. So these are basically the speakers. Same way, let's say if you have a guitar, you have the core of the guitar with the hole, where actually that amplifies the sound. If you won't have that, there won't be any sound of those strings on the guitar. So same here, I have the metallic shields to amplify the sound. So honestly, I do workshops. I do workshops for kids and adults now, because the adults were very sad that they couldn't be in the workshop, because the kids were very excited. Like, we wanted to, like, can we come to? So now it's also for adults. But I'm like explaining this in this like fun interactive workshop, and I actually get to invite the kids to like play with me and like interact with the instrument, and they get to understand this whole kind of like, I think it's pretty like a complex idea about how the reproduction of the sound travels in the instrument. But when you are there and you're actually seeing it and you're feeling it, so it's very easy to understand, even for like 5-year-old kids. So they understand what is amplification on an instrument. They understand that you have to, if you want to build a DIY instrument, which this is one of those, you need to respect 4 parameters, and you're going to have a sound. If you have something to amplify it with, if you have a friction, if you have something to change the pitch with, so you're going to have a sound. Whatever, like what type of sound it is, we don't know, but you're gonna have some, so this is how basically the instrument works. Yeah, that was probably a little complicated.
No, that was for someone like me that had no idea, like that. Oh, that made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So basically the same rules apply, like for
exactly.
your
Yeah. And that's why to my workshops I always bring a guitar, because like I'll distribute a guitar, I throw it on the kids. It's like, hey guys, like how do you change the pitch on the guitar? Everyone knows. So they show it to me on the guitar. I was like, and now come here, 5 of you, and tell me how do we change it here? And they figure it out. It's really fun. And
then like I think it was your TEDx talk, maybe you had a keyboard and some other stuff, right? Like,
yeah.
And then you sang.
Yeah,
so
and
it's like a whole.
Yeah, and I loop my voice. I have a facial microphone, so I process my voice with TC Helicon Voice Live Touch 2, and I harmonize it a lot, and I process it, and then it goes. I work with a looper. It's like I have different type of shows, but a lot of times I have a looper where I loop the voice. I can loop the sound of the instrument as well live, so that goes in like the sound of the instrument goes in the looper as well, so I can process the sound of the instrument live or loop it. And I work with synthesizers mostly, or like no, all the time when I compose as a composer, with like when I'm working on a song or album. So I really sit down, I produce it in like Ableton and like record all the things. And so then I decided I really want to use only like analog synthesizers with this instrument, like a conceptual like decision, because as you mentioned, this is like an acoustic nice instrument, and it kind of sounds like a synthesizer, but it's entirely acoustic. So then I want to like, I don't want to use like digital VSTs or digital, instruments with it. Even though if it would be cheaper and probably easier, but I just think that it deserves the same level on the synth side. So I'm using like analog synthesizers. I have a Polybrute by Arturia. I have a Korg Minilog. I have a Microfreak. So then like, let's say my even like my solo show can look really big, because I have 3 synthesizers which are synced together. Then I have the looper, I have the facial mic. So it's kind of like almost like a full band, like sound, even though I'm alone. But I love working with a full band too. I have a great drummer now, Richard Sherwood, Drumdala. I don't know if you got to meet him.
Will he be at the event?
Yeah.
Okay.
He also made his like crazy drum instrument. And then Ariel Sol, he is a harpist, and he also like he's a new media nerd as me. So he's like working. He's pushing harp towards new media, and like you'll see like he's gonna bring an orb which will manipulate the sound of the harp in real time. So like we are all like like-minded, creative like artists, musicians in my band.
Well, let's plug that event real quick. It's going to be Saturday,
Yeah, it's gonna
April
be
26th. So this will come out before then.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, it's April 26th, Saturday. And fun background story is that it was supposed to be just a tiny little event at my apartment for 20 people, because I wanted to make my life easy at least once, not shuffling my instrument and all these like gear, set it up. I was like, let's just like have it easy on me once. And at the same event we met. So I met Bob. I don't know if you met Bob. He's an older person, and he has a beautiful villa at Sherman Oaks, and he loved what he heard, and he just like wanted to talk about it more. And he was like, why don't you just move your thing to my house? Like, I have a beautiful house, a beautiful, deck overseeing the whole Burbank area. It's really beautiful, like villa, like, with a pool and like garden and all that. It's like ready for such a beautiful event. I was like, I just didn't want to hustle, once in my life. I wanted to make it easy. Bob, don't do this to me. But of course, I just agreed on it, because like I always agree, like because yeah, I don't know how to make my life easier. I'm not really good in that, honestly. I would need like a manager to stop me in those moments. So I agreed on this. So now it's gonna be happening at a beautiful villa in Sherman Oaks, and now it's a big event. So I'm organizing this whole event, which will start at 6. We'll have our partners to distribute all the nice drinks for you guys, including the best Czech liquor company. You get to taste the best Czech liquor. Maybe first time for a lot of you guys here. And then it's gonna be Ariel Sol, the harpist, will open for me with the orb and this interactive cool experience. And then we will play the full band Bohemian Cristal Instrument experience with the drummer and the harpist. And then it's gonna be probably some like after party, like more like a dance DJ thing. So it's gonna be a beautiful night. And also it's on a donation base. There's no ticketing. So that's like a rare opportunity for everyone to show up, support, and have a good time. And also on one hand, it's a way for me to hopefully, to start like funding my first debut album, because I only released an EP so far, and I really want to put album out. And I just I'm an independent artist. I really have no one backing me up financially. I'm on no label. I'm just doing this all by myself. The way you heard my story until now, it's the same thing. It's just me doing everything. So that's also like kind of a way of like people like to like offer them a way to support this project if they like to support me, because like I would need funds to cover the mix, master, and all the like album release stuff. So that's one of the events I'll be probably doing around before I'll release the new album.
And if people want to sign up for this, how do they sign up for this?
There is an Eventbrite event and Luma event, and they find the link on my Instagram of Bohemian Cristal Instrument.
So go to your Instagram.
Exactly.
Click the links, or it's one of those links in your Instagram.
Yeah, click on the donation. You can donate whatever amount you want. If you don't have money, just show up. It's okay.
Post it, share it on your social media.
Exactly. Please share it with me, because we are worried that it's a last moment thing. And yeah, just like I'm putting a lot of energy into this. So it would be lovely that like more people will come, like merrier.
I'm going to be one quick thing. Yeah, no, I can't wait. It's going to be, it truly is an experience. Like it is a one of a kind experience. Like, and as you've told this story, which I'm very grateful, like for you giving us the details of everything. I'm sure there's a lot more too, but it really paints the picture of like how unique this is. And I know just people just they go to your website. I mean, you have a lot of content out there. Like there's a lot of great things, but it's so cool to hear the story of how that became that.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's not like just one, I think I'm going to do this and wear this costume. It's like,
none of that. And at this stage, honestly, I developed the project to the stage where what you will see, it's a full band experience, which is cool. And I'm really curious what you're gonna say, because you experienced the instrument in the most simplest form ever possible, and I don't normally perform like that, because I just brought the instrument, I just perform acoustically, and I don't do this. But it was a good fit for that event. It's just like it was perfect for what we were doing there. But now you get to experience the whole, like the whole like composition based songs and like the full band and synthesizers, all like the big sound. So I'm like really curious what you will say.
Oh, I love it. I'm big into like different music video concepts and crazy arts. When you're describing, like, I want to, like when you're talking about the Czech Republic, when you're like, oh, I had dancers and paintings and crazy. I'm like, that sounds awesome. Like like you're definitely in the right spot. So I did want to touch on really quickly. So when you left, you stopped pursuing your PhD for this.
Yes.
Correct.
Year and a half in.
All right, and you were encouraged to do that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, by my
right?
mentors.
So they just
they probably just wanted to get rid of me. Like, she's in trouble.
Let's just let her go. Go make music.
Get out of here.
So can you talk about that moment? Because I talk a lot about produce your passion, which is like people that really take that action to not only just pursue a passion, but like, no, I'm actually going to do this now. Take action, make this reality. Can you talk about that moment where you made that decision? Like, all right, I'm the not go this academic route. We're going to do this full time.
I think that when that decision came down, I had it like, I stepped back. I was like, this will be probably a moment which will kind of change the course of my life. And will be talking about this moment in the future in some videos like now. Here we go.
On the Sam Dever podcast. Here we go.
Yeah, that was the reason why I did it. but I mean, the way it happened was that the PhD. So I first went to school to UCLA for just 6 months as a visiting graduate teacher during my studies, still back in Czech Republic, through like some collaboration schools, and I went to music department. I just wanted to like have a taste of like how it feels to live in LA, how it feels to study at this like prestigious school, because I'm a person who like whenever I decide to do something, I really want to do it the best way I can. I'm like I kind of like hate just like scratching the surface. I just hate that. And like a lot of my PhD like colleagues in Prague, they were doing it the whole time because there's no funding. Like our teachers, like our mentors, we would never see them, like maybe once in 6 months, because they had to be in South America being tour guides so they can afford to be our teachers at PhD. And so it was all ridiculous. My other, girlfriends from PhD, they were getting pregnant and just getting the stipends, and like, it was nothing. I was like, I'm not here to waste my time. If I want to do something, I really want to do it the best I can. And I like pressure. I like being pushed forward and work hard. That's kind of my nature of a Capricorn. I think most of us probably. So it's like, okay, let's see where's the best place to go. America, UCLA. So I went there and it was just fabulous. It was so fantastic. I felt like in heaven. First, the campus was beautiful. The teachers were like, they were like big personas in their fields. Like we were craving in Prague to have their books in our libraries. Well, now they were sitting with the doors open the whole day. I could talk to them about anything. And they were so friendly, so caring, so like passionate about their jobs and like the knowledge and then teaching. I was like, oh my God, is this real or is it a dream? I was like mind blown. And all my colleagues were so into what they were doing. Like they were really working hard. While in Czech, the students are like, oh my God, I don't know what to do with my life. I guess I'm just going to study another thing for next 3 years. And they're just sitting there like baked potatoes, in the classes and not really doing anything and being very bored. So there is like no energy. And here it's like, let's go. And with every like homework, they were excited about the homework. So it's like, what? We were like, we hate it. Like, wait, I'm supposed to be excited. All right, well, I'll get excited, So it was amazing. It's like, I'm in love with this. This is how I imagine my studies to go forward, And also, it was the first time I got to study music really in my life. I went to classes on film music with Robert. I think it's like Robert Golub, who is in charge of some huge like festival thing and stuff. Anyways, and one of my colleagues is, I don't know if you know her or not, but Stephanie Economou. She's like she already got awards now. She worked with Hans Zimmer, and she called me a year ago to record for the new DreamWorks movie Teenage Kraken. So she was sitting in my class back then, and all these like, you knew that all those people are meaning this seriously and they will build their careers. So that was a whole new energy I have never experienced in my life.
So these are like superstars that are at
Yeah, but
You
even my
said.
student, my colleagues, like my,
That's
my
what I'm saying.
classmates.
That's
yeah.
what I'm saying. Like even the people you're in class
Yeah,
with, these
like
are all
you could-
people gonna do big things. Yeah.
But, and you didn't know that back then there was about you saw the drive. Well, in Czech, I felt that I'm a crazy person for having the drive or wanting that drive or having ambitions. And I wanted to like push things forward. Everyone was like, just chill, have a beer. Like, why don't you settle down? Why do you hustle like that? Why just like what? I was like, because I feel like old retired person. Like, you know, so I just really needed that type of energy. I was like, okay, this is my place. And I also love the music culture. I got quickly involved like in experimental scene and da. So it's like, okay, I'm just gonna leave the PhD in Czech and try to get to PhD here. And I did that. So I worked on the proposals for like a couple months, sitting in the Czech library and writing it and making it perfect. And it was a lot of work, a couple months of work, and I sent it over and I got in, which was amazing to me. But I got to UCR, not to UCLA. I applied for both, and they thought, even the mentors at UCLA, they thought that UCR would be better for me, but because they work more with like digital music and electronic music, which is true, while UCLA is more like classical and film music, which was not my main thing. Honestly, I was more into like, you know, digital electronic music. So I got to ethnomusicology at UCR because of course I wanted to just make music and be, you know, artist and producer, composer, but I had no previous studies of that. I had no previous education which I can prove through them, and based on that be accepted. So I played it safe and I just did it through ethnomusicology because that was kind of my thing, and I had some, you know, history and all that, and so they accepted me. And ever since I got there, first I think I was really shocked by Riverside as the place, because I was like, wait a second. I made all this crazy effort to be in America, to study in America, and here I am in middle of nowhere.
So you're living in Riverside.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like those places don't even exist in Europe, like so abandoned, and just you'll just have boulders and the freeway and campus. I was like, what is this? It looks like, you know, like desert prison to me. I was so shocked, honestly, because our universities in Europe, they're in the middle of the cities. They're the central point of every city. It's, you know, like there is culture, there's everything around you. And this is like, was like Inland Empire, boulders, freeway, campus. I was like, wow. I felt super isolated from everything I was looking forward to live. I wanted to be in LA, going out, get connected to the culture, music, like get to meet people, network. And I was out in Riverside at school from 8 to 8 every day, from Monday to Friday. And the weekends I was home reading papers and writing papers. We had around 400 pages of readings weekly. And we had to write all those papers, like 5 papers, 20 pages, the best academic papers every couple months, you know, for every like trimester. And me being not American, so it was like way much more work, because with every paper I had to go to writing center and correct everything for hours with them to make it really perfect and in the best shape possible. So, and at the same time, of course, I wanted to make music. So I was kind of double majoring. So I still was going to not only to ethnomusicology classes, but also to music composition and digital music classes. So I was learning Max MSP to work in the program, and I was going, you know, to like film classes. So I had all these other, like I had like doubled assignments, and also not being American. And so it was hardcore, plus being in the Riverside and not being where I really wanted to be. So I think like the school was good, and it really trained me really quickly. My levels like went up, like it was like a steep, you know, steep hill of like upgrading my levels in everything, language, like academic language, writing skills. I was a good writer. I was a journalist. I was a really good writer, but like not in like academic, you know, not on this level of academic English. I was flying to conferences to present my papers. So like they really like worked with us how to present the conference papers on the best level. So that was really, really good training. And our mentors were great. And again, they took care of us not only on the educational level, but also like kind of like a human friendly level. So if they saw us struggling with something, they would like show up for us or ask us. And they saw me struggling, not with the like school stuff. It was a lot, but like I was doing fine, but they saw me struggling like emotionally, that I was really just not happy. And I was becoming more and more frustrated, and I was feeling that my life is just like everything I've ever worked on. The whole stories I told you, all those years when I was doing all those like projects and stuff, it was just slowly dying in Riverside. You know, I was like, wait, and this is gonna happen for the next 5 years. This will be on for the next 5 years of my PhD. So everything I've ever worked on before will be dead by then, while I get out of here. And what's my future then? Like, do I want to be a tenure track professor? Why do I need a PhD for? And also understood, I was pretty naive about the visas before, but I understood that, you know, I have a visa for for education, for like a scholarly visa, which was, I think, J. But for performing and playing live, even for like zero money, for not making money, I would have to have another visa. So it was illegal for me even to perform while I was studying. So I felt really trapped. I was like, wait, I did all this like effort and I'm here, I cannot even play. Like, what am I doing? And I had like one specific mentor, Walter Clark, who was closer to me. He even like helped me once financially, because it was also very like financially draining. I had to come up with like $15,000 every quarter. And I'm a poor person. I didn't, you know, I don't come from money. My dad he was running a business, but my parents were divorced, so I never got to like my dad was always strict with money. Like, he was not generous at all, and I was not making really a lot as a journalist, as a freelance, you know, like you can imagine. So I really didn't have many money. But before coming to the university, I have to sign a paper that I have all the funds available for me for next 5 years of studies, which I was not sure if I should have done or if I should do. But like, I talked to the mentor and I was like, hey, I don't have that money, to be honest. Like, I'm a Czech person. Like, this is so much money. This is like 15 years of someone working hard of money. Like, you need to like double it, or you need to like multiply by 5 for an American perspective to understand what type of money you are asking from me. And I don't have that. What I'm supposed to do is like, don't worry about it, Lenka. You know, once you get here, you can like ask the grants, you can get the TA ships, which will cover it. Like, you'll figure it out, but you cannot figure it out before you get here. So I signed this paper. And then, of course, like, the finances were getting critical. And sometimes I got a TA ship for a quarter, so it was waived. Sometimes I didn't. So I was like, wait, I'm like wasting all this money. And I'm also like, I'm not making any money, and do I want to do this? Does it, you know, doesn't all make sense? And this Walter Clark sat down with me in his office, and he had this like Arabic rug on the floor. He was like, Lenka, you're not leaving this office until we figure out your future life. Like, are we gonna do it here? So look at this carpet, look at this rug with all these like Arabic ornaments, kind of like patterns and stuff. So this is your life. Like, you have so much going on. You have the journalism, you have the music, you have the academia, and you can do all of that. And he was like, and I was like, and it's kind of unfortunate. It's like, he said, I feel very fortunate because I don't have any more gifts than the musicology I'm doing. He's the best musicologist on guitar in the world. He's like, I don't have any other gifts. I'm fine. Like, I'm on my place here, and I don't have any, you know, like other roles for me. But you need to make a decision, because you can do all those things, and you have to just make a decision. What's gonna be the core of your future? What's gonna be the core of this rug? Even though there are like other ornaments, there is that center part of this rug, and we need to figure out what is the center part for you. I was like, oh my God. And that was a moment when I also thought that this would change my life forever. And it did. And I said, well, I think I'm done with journalism. I've done everything I wanted in this domain. I brought the experimental electronic music more into mainstream culture. It's like it's accepted now in all the media. It's like I don't have any more ambitions there. I tried all the posts, like all the like roles in journalism as well. So like, I know what it is. I don't need to stick with that. I was offered really good jobs as well as a journalist to become the head of department radio and the Czech national radio. But I was like, thank you, but no, I think I just need more adventure in my life. So it's like, I think I'm done with journalism. And he was like, yeah, and what about academia? And music was like, yeah, the academia is like, I love studying. I'm that person. I love learning new things. I love going deep. I love understanding the whole structure of things in general, like not just scratching the surface. I love going really deep. But it would have to be academia and music. And I was like, well, he said, like, you can be easily another academic person here. You can go on a tenure track. You'll be another good ethnomusicologist, but will you be a happy one? Wouldn't you be bored? Like, look at look at your future in 5-7 years. These are your options as academic person. And I just really think you should go on a journey. Like, you are more adventurous than this. There's like more for you in this life, and you have this gift of music, and no one's gonna do this. There will be other ethnomusicologists doing similar things, but like, this what you have. That's where you think about music, sound, and everything. Like, that's just you. If you want to go do it, like, no one else would. Maybe these are my thoughts. I don't know if he said that way, but that's probably also like the way I kind of thought about it too. I was like, okay, well, let me think about it. And then the thing we're getting down to like finances, and I was like, you know what? I have $5,000 left on the account. I pay the non-residential tuition for 5,000, or I invest this in an O1 visa for exceptional aliens with special abilities, and see if I can get that and become an artist and start, this artistic journey and make money as an artist. So I was like, okay, if you guys don't waive the 5,000 on the tuition, I'll probably leave. And we sat down even like with lawyers, and they brought that document I signed up like a year and a half before. It's like, hey, but you signed this document that you had all these funds available for you. I was like, yeah, but I didn't. And I was told that, once I'm here, things can be better. I was like, who told you? And I was like, I'm not gonna give them the name of that mentor, because it was the same mentor who really helped me out. And I was like, you know what, let's just leave it here. I'm gonna leave the university, and I'm gonna like invest this money in the O1 visa. So it kind of was decided this way. I was like, either they waive it and I stay, or they don't waive it and I invest this money in O1 visa. So that's what I did. It was right before Christmas. The decision was taken, and on like January 1st, I already moved to LA. I was here in LA January 1st, started the visa process. I got it quickly. It was hysterical, but I got it. The first show I had was at the Broad in February. I was invited by a great artist from New York. So, and then I had the viral video like in a month, and then we released the TED Talk as well, and I booked the first shows and booked the European show. So everything really started quickly. But at that point, there was just the instrument. There was no music, there was no branding, there was no website, no Instagram, like no visuals, like nothing. So I had to like really make it super fast from scratch, work on the music and like building the whole like creative world around the instrument.
That's an incredible story.
I have more in the pocket. Just one of many.
Well, because it was really interesting about this whole entire conversation. I said it earlier with the instrument, like how it's a gradual thing. The same thing with like the PhD thing. It's not, you really helped me understand what people give to go through a PhD program, like the financial commitment to that, the hours spent in it. Like it really is a huge commitment when you're going and doing that. It's not like you're just getting an undergrad somewhere. It's like, no, they can probably only take so many people too. So it's like,
exactly. It was very prestigious. It was 12 of us from the whole world.
Right. Yeah. So when you paint that picture of like leaving that, it wasn't just like, hey, if I come, it was like a major deal. But then when you tell that story of just like making that decision and jumping in and then boom, 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 things start opening up as soon as you did that. I think that, man, good for you. That's really cool.
Yeah, but I still not sure, until, like sometimes I'm asking myself, was it a good decision?
How long ago was that, if you don't mind? How long ago was that?
It was 2017.
I mean,
and there was 2 years of COVID as well. Like I'm not counting.
We don't count those. Yeah. So 5-6 years you've been really going after it. You're still here.
Yeah, I'm alive. And I'm like, here on the podcast. Things are
That's
great.
how I feel with the podcast. It's like, hey, we're on episode 136.
Yeah,
didn't think we'd make it this far at points, but
no, but the truth is, like, back in those, like at that moment, I only had the instrument. There was nothing around it, and now you'll get to see it next week. So I have like a real music which I compose, and I think I found like a way how so there was a big idea as well, like a bit like question, like what type of music I'm gonna make with the instrument, what would the vibe would be, because I was a like more like electronic, experimental producer. So like, but I was like, no, this is not a fit for like. So I ended up like giving the voice to the instrument and kind of lead me, which led me to this whole another journey. So it's like more like ambient cinematic, but like now even like minimal techno vibe with like it's like a beat and pulse, but it's nothing like breakbeat or like EDM, none of that. But with the voice in, it's like I think we developed together something pretty special, like sonically, and also so that part of music was not there years ago, and now I'm seeing like, hey, there is a whole like music which I didn't even expect to have, or I didn't know what the sound would be. But not only that, it goes beyond music, because I work with the visuals, I work with the lights and lasers, so the instrument kind of triggers all this other type of like immersive environment around it. So let's say in the best scenario of my show now, it's like you get the full band experience, but also interactive, like generative laser show, which means that we are translating the sound, we are feeding the sound of the instrument live into the laser signal. So the lasers which are shining onto the instrument and stuff, they are reacting to the sound of the instrument in real time. So again, all this goes back to the sound and the instrument itself. So this is like and I have some like cool clothing, and I work with some good musicians, and I have now even like partners, like brands, like helping me out, let's say giving me some free drinks for my shows and all this support, which I had none of that years ago. So like looking at it from this perspective, it's like, okay, there's something which happened over the past few years, probably. But like, I'm like nowhere near to the end. I don't think there is an end. Like, I just like, I go from day to day, every day. It's like, another step and creative ideas and new people coming in to like, let's say, help me to develop those ideas, or I find them, or I get some grants to produce those ideas. So it's like a never ending evolvement of things. And on that note, maybe like if you want to like, I wanted to say also like a couple words about the relationship of me and the instrument, how it developed over the years. Because to me back then it was just an instrument. It was like, I played other instruments. I played guitar, I played piano, saxophone. So it was just another instrument. But then over the years, and like thinking about it conceptually, I kind of, and working on the music with it and seeing how big music sonic personality the instrument has. So I kind of understood, and I changed my thinking about the instrument, and I see it more as another partner in, like, it's a partner in the crime, like partner in crime on this journey. And to me, it's more like the master of the situation. I'm like stepping back as a composer, while normally the composer is the master of the situation and sonic materia, composing things, arranging, it's going to be this and that way, it's going to be that long, or these harmonies. Da, da, da. So now here, like, I was like, okay, I'm going to challenge myself. There's a whole another like approach of being musician / composer. I'm going to listen to the instrument and try to understand what's its core, what's the heart, what's the foundation of this sculpture, and what type of sound and music somehow naturally could come out of that without me intervening that much, or the least I can. Of course I have to, but the least I can, not trying to master and control the situation that much and manipulate it that much. And I think that it's, to me, it's kind of very special relationship we develop over the years, because now I call it my own, it's my little beast, but it's like officially it's like post-human genderless entity with its own agency, and I'm just the medium in between the instrument and the people. So it's like, it's beyond instrument. It's a live creature with its own agency, which does manipulate my life. And you truly could see it through what I told you. Like, it does, control my life way much more than I control the instrument, I think, because it just really it changed course of my life in so many ways. So I approach it more as a, like not just an instrument, but like a real entity with own agency.
I love that. It just reminds me, it's organic. It's just
Yeah.
this organic flow. And there's a saying in like acting, like don't force the scene. Let the scene, you do all the work, but let the scene be the scene. And even with this podcast, like let this be what it's going to be. And that's what it sounds like what you're doing with this is, I love it. I even get goosebumps like thinking what you're talking, because like you're on a mission, you're on a purpose. Everyone's like, we're gonna make a bunch of money and we're gonna do this and do that. It's like, no, you're like just your attention to detail and your understanding of it. Again, I understand fully everything you're saying, but I get the concepts and I get that you really know what these notes are doing here and there, and like knowing your instrument inside and out, and just having this waking up every day and like, all right, now we need to add this over here. I just met this person here. Now we can do this. And it's like, it just keeps unfolding.
Exactly.
Who knows where this is leading?
Exactly. And I think that's why I like that too, because I'm like, I have a pretty adventurous nature and I love adventure. So like, I know that I won't be bored on this journey. While let's say if I have stayed at PhD, I might get bored at some point. I don't know. I also, honestly, I could have been, a cool postdoc now and getting all the funding to actually, to fund my art stuff. And I would be like struggling, hustling artist, and I could have probably developed the music video I told you about already a year ago. But I mean, I cannot take that back.
You can't buy that time that you've had to be able to devote to your project, and you can't replicate that.
That's true.
You can't.
That was the biggest difference I felt once I left. I was like, wait, now I have all these hours a day just to work on this, and I did that. I was like, well, now we are moving forward very fast, and I like fast speed in general, and so that's the real difference. And also, I really love how we go together from the sound to like other medias, and it's all very, as you said, it's very organic. Like those lasers are like, okay, well, a lot of people are using lasers, but to me, I do have a reason to use them because we are really translating the sound into the laser signal. It's not just a random, laser show that are like a circus, but it really is still connected back to the instrument as the core entity of this show or this project. It just goes all back to it. And I'm just like overwatching like, hey.
I'm just here.
Yeah, I'm around.
I love it. Eric, do you have anything for us? I know you've been listening in, and if you have any questions.
Yeah, I'm curious, since you love music, give me 3 bands that would be in your top 15.
Oh, wow. That's a tough one. When I was a journalist, it would be immediate, but now I'm so happy that I don't need to be on the top of things. But three bands or projects. Okay, well. Oh boy. I like Niels Fram, who is amazing pianist and synth composer from Germany. I don't know if you guys have ever saw him live. He plays piano and like couple synths in the same time, and it might be a little bit similar. I think when I was starting to compose, that was a person I was looking up to with like the vibe and the way he plays live and be very like kind of multi-dimensional artist, but also funny. Like he would like after each song, he would just, when people were like mesmerized and really deep in like a zone and stuff, and like he would just say some like silly jokes and be like very casual about it and not having any dramatic outfit, or it's just like a very casual like pants and hoodie, and I was like, this is really cool. And sonically it was so strong. It was almost like a religious experience, but it was postmodern, minimalistic, like almost later beat oriented synth piano compositions. So I really kind of I really loved his work, but I love like a lot like experimental, like crazy stuff. I like Clipping. I don't know if you know them from LA. It's like a noise hip hop band. And actually, Jonathan from Clipping did a remix of my song for My Name is Anne a couple of years ago when they were still not big. And now they're big because David Deeks was in Hamilton in the...
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he's the rapper for Clipping.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's dark. It's like, it's rough and it's very minimalistic. It's a way, like whole like different approach to hip hop. I'm not like a hip hop fan, but like they're combining hip hop, experimental synth and synth in a such a like cool way, and like even like conceptual without like forcing the conceptual part. I think that I love their stuff. Third one, oh my god, I like Tune Yards. I mean, I liked Tune Yards. She's just releasing a new thing now, but I also like crazy thing like Dorian Electra. I don't know if you know her. Dorian Electra. She's like yeah, she is like crazy, like hyper pop, performative, weirdo, trans, probably something, and her shows are very wild. And yeah, so like I really like all sorts of music, but I always like looking for. I'm not just. I need to say I'm picky. I'm like I don't like mainstream music. I don't really listen to like any mainstream music at all, like Beyonce, Rihanna, all that. It's just not my thing. It's hard for me to find. It's probably still my like intellectual snobism there. It's just hard for me to find appreciation. I can find appreciation for like say production of the song or something. It's just like I need something more to it. I still need always something more like deeper to it, I need a story, or. And a lot of times I just with those mainstream artists, to me it's like kind of more empty than I need for me to be fulfilled musically, I think. I mean, like I'm even a fan of like noise music. I would go to noise shows a lot here in LA. My ex-boyfriend has a great studio in downtown LA, Handbag Factory, and they do organize shows like that. There is a huge festival, Hell in Handbag, at the end of this month as well. Actually, the same week as I have my show. So and that's like I really recommend it for people who want to see things they were not expected to see ever in this life, because during 3 days you have each artist performing for 20 minutes. So during one night you get to see so much of like things you have never seen, and it's like all like top craziness of like experimental alternative like music here in LA you have never understood. You also see a lot of naked people like on stage, or like like a fun like it. I mean, it's a joy.
I was just say, like you being in LA, you're like in the perfect place for what you're doing. I would think. Like I would think people gravitate towards you pretty quickly. Like it's just such a unique. LA is a place where that's what I love about here, is like people can do like with what you do or what anyone does, and like it's just like it's like this is why everyone came here, was to showcase their art and experiment and push the envelope. And
yeah, it's also very supportive, like
supportive.
In Czech that's not really supportive place, or at least wasn't when I started. Maybe it might be better now. I think it's better, like and but yeah, that was one of the reason why I signed up for this journey, because like the people here embraced my journey and they were like, you should do this. I have never heard that back in Czech, or from my parents or anyone around me. Of course, like I had some fans, but that's different. Like here, people really told like, hey, we see a value in what you're doing or how you're thinking about those things. You should go out there and make it happen. And then I was like, oh, they're actually coming to my shows. They actually really like it. I was so surprised. I was not ever like used to like just simply positive feedback. Because my thing with my MSN was a little controversial all the time. It was not a people pleaser. And now I was with Bohemian Cristal Instrument, people like loving it. I was like, wait, is there something wrong? I was kind of suspicious. Or are you just not being critical enough,
Right, especially after the battles you went through.
Yeah.
And those.
Well, this is weird. This is suspicious.
Well, this has been truly a great experience. We got a few minutes left. We haven't gotten to it yet, so we just praised LA for its musical and artistic camaraderie and support. Dating, what do you think about it? In a few minutes.
A few minutes. Oh yeah.
What do you think about dating, especially because you're not even from this country? So like, what's your perspective on LA dating, or maybe just American? Dating?
It might be way different from like another like American female, I guess, because in a way I think I don't know if that's because I'm from another culture, or it's just my nature of who I am as a person, but I feel kind of appreciated as a female even here more, because I think I'm different than maybe the American girls in the ways I think about life, what I do, how I think about, even like how I think about money. It's not really my main perspective of life or happiness. I think I have other values which are more like important to me. Or like I'm also like super outdoorsy. I'm very adventurous. I would like hop in my van and like go on a trip to desert and stay there for years and sleep in outdoors, and like, or hike in the Pacific Crest Trail, or descend in the rivers for days and like jumping from cliffs. I have like zero fears, honestly. So I love all these like adventurous things. And in some ways I see that a lot from guys here that are like kind of surprised, and I think they like that vibe. And I don't know if like girls are different. I don't get to see a lot of like outdoorsy adventurers here. It's even like hard for me to find my partner like but like guys for that, because it's sometimes like too much for them, or they get scared. But I have a real passion for that. But other than that, it's a rough. It's an interesting experience, because it feels that no one gets to be committed. It's like that's not why they are dating. They just want to have fun. And I always tell them like, hey, if you want to have fun, just go to Disneyland. Like, I'm not here to provide fun. I'm not a Cirque du Soleil, for you. Like, I'm funny, like, and I do like creative fun things, but like, if you want to have fun, do something else. Like, this is a serious business. This is a serious business. I'm joking, but yeah, it seems like no one is really down for like commitment, and like they all have their own like goals, and the work is always their priority, which is not the same as in the culture where I grew up. We do compromise our lives for love. We do compromise our love for people we love, or for our family, or we would never compromise probably on a job offer. Instead of like a family or like loved ones, we would always prioritize the relationships and humans instead of work and labor and money. And I'm always like thinking back to like capitalism as a whole. It's like, well, I think this capitalist system, extreme capitalist system here, is even translated in a relationship, because they don't give you the priority, which is, I think, like a lot. It happens a lot. I think that the relationships are not priority here for people. It's their work, and if you're aligned with that, that's fine. But if you're not, they won't like switch like the gear for you, that was probably very much of a surprise to me, because in my culture, it's not like that. It's like pretty normal that if you fall in love, you just, like you do compromise on this or that, so you guys can be together. Well, here's like, oh, sorry, like if you, you're too busy tonight. Oh, no worries. Like, no pressure. Like, just like stay doing what you're doing, and check with me. Just come with me. Like, I want to be with you. Just like leave what you're doing. Come with me. Like, they force you. They like let you know they want you be there. It's like, no worries. Like, I was like, wait, like pressure is good. Just keep telling them pressure is good. Commitment is good too. Well, also, of course, I do my like fair share of like LA fun dating, but I think also for me, it's the experience cannot be ever that bad, because I can always use it. In my art and music, mainly for My Name is Anne, the project, because that's, as the new album is coming out, it's called Radical Valentine. So it's all about my LA dating experiences. So even like if it doesn't work out with the guy in the relationship, I can use it in music. And I'm not just saying as a metaphor. I started to record our situations. I started to ask for voice memos instead of dick pics. I'm just not accepting any pictures.
I never understood the dick pic thing. Just me personally, I just never. But the
yeah,
stories I've heard,
often.
The stories I've heard from women that are friends of like just normal conversation. Like, oh yeah, how you doing? Doing good. Like, what are you? And then boom, dick pic.
Like, yeah, and have a good evening. Oh, the best one I've got was like probably a year ago of a guy I'm like still sometimes seeing, and he sent me a picture, and I didn't know you can send an invisible picture Do you know what is that?
What do you mean invisible picture?
Yeah, that's creepy. So you get a picture and you cannot, like, you click on it, you don't get to see what's on the picture. It's blurry. It's very blurry and pixels. And you start touching the parts of the picture, and only there it starts revealing what's on the picture. I was like, what is that? Is it a mushroom or what? And I actually thought that was really hilarious. It was like a good joke.
That that was a special moment for this podcast.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. but actually, this same guy also like provided me like a really good voice memo, which I now cut as a rhythmical part of the new song for my MSN. So he's there, his voice is there. And the fun part is that I have to get an agreement of those people when I'm using their voice, because he's not the first one. There's probably like 3 more in other songs. And I'm like, hey, can I use this? Like, I'm sending you this as a draft. Like, I just want to know that you're cool with it. I was like, wait. Can you just manipulate my voice a little more? It's like it's too dry. Like, I can this is my voice. It's like, yeah, but like, do you really think when I'll be performing this in Prague that people will come up like, hey, wait, this is Mike? Like,
hey, I know you and I didn't work out, but can I use that voice memo you sent me for that music? So your life is art. Like, you're just constant. Anything that comes in your orbit becomes like this art piece. Like, I love it. I think it's
but
great.
Also like this, I'm joking about it, but I'm also like, I'm a romantic person, and I, of course, I get hurt, and I care, or I want to be things in a different way, and they are not. But yeah, in general, this is what is happening. I can't, honestly, I like a couple months ago, I also had moments where I had offers to get married and make my life easier, be taken care of, get my green card, and not just being this hustling artist, because now I can only make money in music and I cannot do any other jobs, which I normally would do to, like, let's say, provide for myself.
Oh, that's I didn't even think it. So the only way you can make money is through the music.
Yeah, so it's a trap. It's a whole another trap, because everything else is illegal for me, and I won't work on black, and also I won't, the type of work I would like to do, let's say being a teacher at UCLA and all that, that I have a kind of like CV for. So those are really prestigious jobs, and of course I would need another type of visa to do those jobs. So so I'm in a very fragile situation as an artist, and also I'm trying to make this transparent to the promoters, because they're reaching out, and a lot of times like, hey, it's for exposure, like, come play here, like, we don't really have money, but like, it's a good exposure. Well, there is $30 of $50 for a ticket, and it's like, how you guys don't have money? You do. Like, this is not a fundraiser. I'm okay to play fundraisers, for free, but this is not a fundraiser. You should have budgeted better so you can pay the artist. Why should be exploited? This is not cool. And also, I'm trying to make it clear that my situation is very much more fragile than other artists, because other American artists, most of them, they have a side job or they have a day job, and they do this as a side thing until, maybe they can switch the gears and stuff towards music. But I'm entirely dependent only on the income from music. So imagine that. It's like, it's insane. And I think those promoters don't really realize it until we are very transparent about it. Not that they would change it a lot of times. Sometimes they say, oh, we are so sorry, but then, bye. I was like, okay. Same thing just happened. I was accepted to San Pedro Festival in June, which is a great sound art festival on the top of a hill in San Pedro, like overlooking the ocean. It's really, really cool for one day. And again, it's like, they have 15 sponsors, including the city of LA and like San Pedro itself, and they are not paying in for like, they're not providing the gear, they're not paying the artists. It's like, hey guys, how is that even like possible? How you are not feeling ashamed in a way? Like, and also I talked to other artists. I was like, how you're accepting these conditions? You guys need a union or something. Because this is unheard of in Europe. Like, if you perform and there is something, they will give you at least something. They'll also provide the food for you. They'll also provide some free drinks. They treat you with hospitality and respect. And like, so I just don't understand. I think that, that it needs a little revolution here in a lot of ways, including the music scene, that the artists, like indie artists, should kind of stand up for themselves and stop accepting those like free exposures, opportunities, because it's ruining the whole like pool, and it's making it very unhealthy for everyone. Like, how should I even like provide for food and like, lodging if the people won't pay me. And it makes like a vicious circle of like not being able to grow also as an artist, because you need to invest in your music, you need to pay for mix master, you need to be creative, you need to like make music video content. That all costs so much money that people don't have an idea about. And like where we are supposed to have that money if you are not going to pay us, so yeah, there is a lot of things I think should be fixed. And that goes to the other topic we skipped from dating to to this, but we talked about the Burning Man and gift economy, which is like a similar, thing to me. Like I was asked to perform at Burning Man from like really big camps, like a couple of them, and then they wouldn't provide a free ticket for me. They wouldn't provide like a safe spot for me. They wouldn't like give me any fee, like an artistic fee to perform. And they say, okay, well, that's a gift economy. Everyone, works here for free. We are like also gifting our time and energy. I was like, well, that's all cool. Like I would be fine with that if there wouldn't be a ticket, a single ticket costing like at least $700 to like 1,000 and more. And it took me 10 minutes to find out online that those like couple, CEOs of like Burning Man, they're earning over like 15,000 per month. And I was like, how is that a gift economy? How is that fair? How you guys even accept those terms? Like do you even like realize that you are being exploited under like the nice ethos of like gift economy? That's really absurd. So yeah, I'm just kind of being critical to that in a way, and I think I would be the first one like calling for fairness in that and more transparency, so we all feel better about this music business environment.
Yeah, well, that's ridiculous. That's unethical. I hate when I hear people, oh, there's not really a budget for this, but then I watch someone spend XYZ on whatever. And I think in LA especially, this happens a lot. And this happens in the acting community too, I think. Everyone knows that people come here to make it big. They know that people are all in, that they're just trying to get an opportunity. And there's not all of it's bad, so I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but there's some people though, I'm sure, that take advantage of, starving artists literally, who, well, we're going to let you go on our platform. You could, quote unquote, get discovered by someone in the, they're playing off of that, which I don't know. Not saying that doesn't happen anymore. I don't know if it's like the 70s and 80s or 90s, like back when like an agent was in the crowd. Hey, are you in that? But like now it's like, man, if you can't pay someone or at least cover the expense to come, like that to me is insane.
I'm just surprised that people are agreeing on that with like no questions. So like I would just like I wish they would be like more critical and outspoken about it. Well, when I talk about it with them, I love like getting down to like the problematic topics. It was part of my PhD too, and like like we do cover through PhD like kind of we cover problematic things. We don't cover like rainbows and butterflies. The conflicts are important part of, I think, like all the research. And so I really love talking about like conflicting things, and it seems very uncomfortable to most people here. Well, in Europe or Czech, like it's very normal to talk about things in a critical way, in negative way, or like not being happy with it and communicate about it clearly. Well, here it feels like we should they just want to just keep it playing cool, so they're still accepted to, let's say, to that festival or something, because if they say something like that, they might not be accepted, it might ruin their opportunity and exposure. While I think like if we would be more bold and outspoken about it, it would just bring our lives to like a better level of stability and fairness, and also transparency and kind of like respect to our work. So like them like seeing people frightened to talk about those things loud, I think that surprised me a lot. I don't know if you have a similar experience
about
if there's like a like if you're critical to something and want to bring it up, and it's like a hot topic, like people don't really want to talk about it.
No. I myself have I don't like confrontation. Like I have a people pleasing complex. I've gotten better at it.
But it seems to me that a lot of like
in America,
people are like
yeah.
people pleasers a lot. But I don't know if your education was like that way, or like where does it come from?
I think we were taught not really to deal with things. Like I think we were taught like to sweep things under the rug. And
by who and why? And
I mean, probably our teachers, maybe families.
Really curious.
Wow.
Like not to get in conflicts, not like get into arguments and all that.
Yeah, or to, I don't know if it's a self-esteem thing too. Like people are afraid to critique people. There's a difference between giving someone constructive criticism and then bashing someone for no reason. I don't know. I think our cultures are more like hush hush, don't rock the boat.
Yeah. Don't shake the baby.
But I'm not from New York City, but I do hear, and I know people who are from there. They said New York City, though, it's like, you don't have to deal with that. People will tell you what they think. But LA is like the opposite. They're not going to tell you really what they think.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great topic. And I would dive into like capitalism and all that right now, because I've actually, I don't know if capitalism's the greatest thing anymore. Like I think there's a lot, I think obviously there's been a lot of good with it, but I think there's a lot of bad that comes with it. And I think we're hitting a point in society where it just, whoever has the most is going to keep benefiting. And then everyone, I'm getting into a way other different thing. But like when you're talking about, like Burning Man, for example, it started as this,
it has this kind of
beautiful, like positive thing,
utopia, even like communist, but like, come on, we lived through communism, we know what it comes down to. Like, don't be naive,
You still got to pay for your $700 ticket, that. So I don't know, I'm getting into the weeds, but this has been an incredible conversation. Is there anything else that you wanted to bring up before we close out here?
I don't know. Did we cover it
that
all?
Was pretty much all of it.
You have your little
I
notebook
think
there.
The instrument, your current musical projects, the
LA
dating scene, the gift economy, Burning Academy.
People don't come here to get married, That's the point, I think.
Did you have any more to say about Stefan at all? I know you mentioned him.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I wrote. It's interesting. I wrote a nice press kit about it 2 weeks ago. And I was like, how I'm going to write a press kit? It goes to all the media here, but also Czech Republic. How I'm going to write a press kit about this story. And then I ended up writing like a story. It reads like a narrative of like a story of two people who met and had this crazy relationship. And the kid who's like 34, who was like a son of like CEO of one of the biggest like TV companies here, and he would just like drive everywhere by Uber. He would just eat in the restaurants all the time. He only had gummy bears at home, and it was like a funny, crazy encounter, which was like on and off, and always like keeping promise, and then him disappearing late night, Monday night to like after parties, and I wouldn't see him for days. I was like, okay, I'm not taking this seriously anymore. But the fact that, how should I say that? Just having someone who was like very close to me, and he was part of why I felt alive in LA. I knew I had some pillars here, like people pillars, like people who were stably in my life, on and off, but I knew they were here, and they made my experience better, cheerful, fun, and fulfilled. And now he was not here, so there was a moment I was like, even like, why? Like, it's like LA will be forever different for me without him. There will be this big hole of like emptiness. And it was like that for a time when I was still in Czech before I got here. And then interestingly enough, I feel like every time when I get here, let's say after a part of my life when I'm not here, and I land again and I restart my life here again. So it's like a whole another period of me living in LA. I'm meeting different people. I start having like different friends. New things are coming over. It's like a whole another life. So it feels like he was part of my life before, which was connected to also like another open relationship, which I thought it was my final love, of my life, and didn't end up being that. And it just like feels kind of almost like disconnected to my life here. It feels in a way that also it never happened in a weird way. So I think that's also the reason why I really wanted to finish the song, and I really want to film the whole music video of like Bonnie and Clyde situation in West Hollywood, going from one crazy situation to another, to keep reminding me that it was real and that person existed, and it made an impact on my life or on my music as well, and like the energy he carried and we carried together, and the type of natural intimacy you have with someone who you just meet and you feel like you have known that person forever and he's very close to you, and he doesn't have that much of commitment on like jobs and stuff. He can just hang out, which is like for me very rare. So like I think that that's also the reason why I wanted to like capture that in a song. It's for me, it's like you bottle the essence into like a bottle, and like you close it and you put it, let's say, on a shelf, and it's there forever. A lot of times my songs and my art is like also like capturing those emotional moments. It's like bottled as an essence in one song, and it stays there forever, like until like forever. We didn't end up on a funny note.
No, I mean that's thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. On that note, I'm just going on a cool date on Thursday with outdoorsy person. So wish me luck, because I need outdoorsy people around me. I don't want they grow up. Is there any forest here where they can go
Fryman Canyon, Fryman Canyon, Studio City. You that's one great thing about LA is we have endless nature out here. I do. That's one of my favorite parts about the city. Honestly, what's interesting, like it's the art. Obviously is a draw here to me now, but it's really the weather and nature at some point. Like now it's like I actually, that's just as important at this point. Once you get a taste of that Southern California weather, I Googled similar climates in the world. There's 3 to Southern California. Santiago, Chile.
Okay.
Perth, Australia. Portugal. I can't remember what part of Portugal.
Okay.
I think Portugal will be the move for me.
Yeah.
I think that's where I've heard of other California people that have gone there. So I don't know.
I'm not a big fan of Portugal. When I was there, I felt like I'm at the end of the world in a way, that I'm like, I felt kind of, I had a similar feel like when I was in Riverside. It's like life is right there, but I'm not there. Like Kundera, I don't know if you know the writer Kundera. He's a like famous Czech writer, but he moved to France. He became very big writer. So he had he had a book called The Life is Out There. So that's what I was.
The life is out there?
I don't know how to translate it. Elsewhere.
Elsewhere. Gotcha.
The life is elsewhere. So that means you are on a place but the life is not there. It's right there, but you're not there. It's like there is a distance between you and the life you want to live. So I felt like that when I was in Rivers. I was like, LA is right there, but I cannot even go there.
So close, yet so far.
That's such a huge frustration. And I was feeling the same frustration when I was growing up, in Northern Czech Republic, which is beautiful. It's like really beautiful. But I was feeling that the life is elsewhere. I just wanted to be in Prague to like be part of the culture and explore and like meet new people. And then when I was in Prague, I was like, well, this is cool. Now I know everyone. So what's next step? Okay, let's go to Barcelona. And then Barcelona. Okay, that's cool. But like, the business is not there. The music business is almost non-existent. It's like, okay, what's next? So then the next step was LA, which ended up being Riverside.
And nothing against Riverside. Riverside and the Inland Empire has its beauty, but if you want to be in the scene, LA's LA. You know what I mean? So
yeah, exactly. And I love desert, and I like hiking and all that, but it's just like that was not what I imagined for my life.
Well, Lenka, this has been an incredible conversation. This has been a work of art within itself. I thank you for coming on. Me. Eric, did you have anything before we take off here?
He's silent.
I'll give you the last word. Before we go, how can people get a hold of you? How can they check out the music? How can they find out about the event again? Where are all the places people should go to learn about you and the instrument?
Good question. So there's a couple. Just please go on Instagram. You can follow Bohemian Cristal Instrument, Crystal with an I. Or for the electronic project I mentioned, it's mynameisAnne.com on website. On Instagram, it's mni.n, like Mnean, like a shortcut. And then also, if you want to check the art stuff and interactive, installations I have done, I mentioned a couple of them. So that's my website. It's myname.com. It's lenkamoravkova.com. So go up there, go to YouTube, and enjoy yourself. Come to the show. Come on 26 and any other things which will be coming up.
Awesome. And I really recommend that TEDx talk too. It's really, really, really good.
Yeah, well, thanks. That was a lot of work. I mean, that was a lot of stress. The same day I performed at Broke LA on the festival with my MSN. So I was driving to LA, performed quickly. They got back to Riverside because it was in Riverside. I changed like in 10 minutes. They wired me with a microphone. I was up on the stage. It was crazy.
Talk about a full circle moment to come back to the place that you had left with the instrument.
It was still during my PhD.
Oh, gotcha.
So yeah, okay. It was offered to like anyone who wanted to participate. I was like, well, this is probably good idea. But they helped us a lot. They really like went through like the whole like writing with us. They corrected it. Like they really helped me to make the story solid, and I really rehearsed that a lot, and I knew it by heart, and I even like knew the gestures, and I mean I was trained.
It came out. No, it was very well done. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Thank you so much. I always give the guests the last word. It can be as deep or as shallow, short or as long as you want. How would you like to end this podcast?
Oh my God, I don't like that. What do I? Man, that's a lot of pressure.
You can just say goodbye too if you want.
No, I cannot say just goodbye. Can I recite a poem?
Absolutely.
A French one?
Absolutely.
Okay. So that's my favorite poem when I was a teenager by Arthur Rimbaud. And okay, now I know why I wanted to say that, because it does capture, if you know this poem in English, or if you don't, just like look it up, the translation, but it does capture the feeling of freedom and happiness, like the simplest freedom and happiness when you're just alive and walking in the meadows, and you're like the grass is touching your naked legs, and you're just feeling the breeze of the wind in your hair. And he used to walk from northern France to Paris when he was like 15, 16 years old, to actually meet the Parisian, intellectual elite and poets and be part of that. Then he fell in love with Verlaine, and it was a crazy love story of a like older, like accomplished poet who was married with a younger, crazy, like a very rebellious spirit of Arthur Rimbaud. I really recommend the movie called Total Eclipse. If you are not familiar, it's their life story, and it's a young Leonardo DiCaprio playing Rimbaud. He's that thin, he's that slim that he can open the bottle, the beer bottle with his razor blades.
Shoulder blades.
Shoulder blades. That he used to be my he was my like a sex idol when I was a teenager, because I really like slim. So it's like, oh my God, this is the proof. So yeah, that was him playing Arthur Rimbaud in this movie. So I recommend that. Okay, this is the poem. All right. Okay. Par les soirs bleus d'été, j'irai dans les sentiers, picoté par les bleus, foulé l'herbe menue. Rêveur, j'en sentirai la fraîcheur à mes pieds, je laisserai le vent baigner ma tête nue. Je ne parlerai pas, je ne penserai rien, mais l'amour infini me montera dans l'âme, et j'irai loin, bien loin, comme un bohémien, heureux comme avec une femme. Ta-da!
That was wonderful. First French poem ever on the Sam Dever podcast.
Yay!
Lenka, thank you.
Give it up to Arthur Rimbaud.
Thank you so much.
Thank you too. It was beautiful.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching the Sam Dever podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@thesamdeverpodcast, and give us a follow on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. See you soon.